Hi, everybody. Nancy Bovair here with Agapi Marketing and Consulting, and we're continuing with our expert interview series. And today I'm happy to have with me Sarah Kirkpatrick. And Sarah is the principal of Jumping Elephant. Hi,
Hello.
Sarah.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
So, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in marketing, Sarah.
I went to school at Mount Royal College for 2 years, and it was more business side, and I wanted creative. So I ended up taking off to Toronto and did a 4 year creative advertising degree there. And from there, I worked in some advertising agencies in Toronto, Vancouver, Bragg Creek, Calgary. Um, After taking off to Europe for a bit, I came back and decided to work client side and worked for a bridal magazine. And then shortly after that, I thought I'm going to start my own business because there's just some things that I like to do and think that it's beneficial for the clients. So I created my own programs and my own business from there.
Awesome. And how long have you been on your own now, Sarah?
Well, I actually had my business part time for the last 4 years, but I kind of just dove into full time quite recently. So picking it up now.
Good stuff. Sarah and I met at a group program, speaking forum last November, and a lot of people are doing things online now. They're not interacting face to face quite as much, but I found that very beneficial. It was a nice group of people, probably about 30 people or so, and some really interesting people. And I'm really happy to have made the acquaintance of Sarah, and I've seen some of her work, and am excited to have her as one of my strategic partners now. So. Now, what we wanted to talk about a little bit here, Sarah does a lot of social media stuff and a lot of content. I think you prefer to specialize in the content area, don't
Well, a
you?
lot of social media is content, but yeah, I do prefer the content side over the management if given the opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, so what I thought that we'd dive into today is tell our audience a little bit about content. Content is king. The buzzword is always about content, and how you have to have content. Can you just tell us a little bit about why that is such a critical component of reaching out and communicating with people online?
Well, most people kind of go about it from an SEO perspective. Content is what brings people to your website. When they Google it, they're looking for different keywords or buzzwords that hopefully your services you're there to offer. But recently, it's kind of become more of a relationship thing. You want to entertain people, you want to give them information and give them a reason to trust you. So blogs used to be just stuffed full of keywords and this kind of information that Google might like, and now people have rejected it, and so has Google. So it's sort of about creating content that people enjoy reading and that they keep coming back, and then when they're ready to buy your service, you're top of mind. So
Right, so just to kind of keep them engaged, have
yeah.
communications with them. Yeah, I do remember those days when everything was keyword heavy in content and on websites, and as you say, Google has kind of rejected that model as well over time, and the internet has changed so much since its inception over the course of the last 20-25 years, in that it is not, SEO is still an important component, but it's much more
Yeah.
intuitive. And so the way that the SEO and everything plays in, and the way, as you point out, that relationships work online, have grown, have expanded, and I think probably a better, for a much better connection, I think,
Yeah.
with people. So I know for myself, Sarah, I've got my website, and I make a point of putting out content on my articles and post page, I call it, because I just like that word better than blog. Um, I make a point of doing it whether I want to, whether I don't, whether I feel like it or not. I think that it's really important to engage my visitors, my clients and prospects. Two different things on my site. Obviously, being a marketer, my content tends to be a little heavy on the marketing side, and trying to give people tips and strategies to how to enhance their businesses through different tools and techniques with marketing. Um, but sometimes, you get stumped. I wake up sometimes and I think, what am I going to write about today? So Can you talk a little bit about content and when people get kind of blocked and how they can look at creating content?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of my clients, I set up Google alerts for my email. So I'll look up Calgary first aid, and then every time there's a news article or something that comes in related to that topic, it comes into my email. And I kind of keep folders for all my clients on just information that I gather over time and might be able to use at one point to create my own blog post for them. So that's kind of a more technical way to do it. If you just want to be inspired, I usually sit down and just try to think of a whole bunch of headlines. Headlines are probably the most important part of your blog because they get people to click. And you just start with a pen and a paper, and we learn this in school, and you write 100 down, and 3 will be good, and those 3 turn into an amazing blog. And you just kind of do that once every 2 weeks or once a month, depending on what you need, and just try to get some ideas. You write down if it's horrible, because if it's bad and you don't write it, it'll stay in your head, and just gotta get it out. So anything related to your blog, people don't realize, for example, a realtor think they can only post their listings and information about houses, but you can write a blog about what to grow in your garden. You can write a blog about the nearby school in your neighborhood. Like, you just have to be able to open up your mind and what other branches of your business is relevant, because people really love that kind of stuff. So
that's a really important point that you make there too. I know especially for people in the financial services industry, like planners and stockbrokers, they're very, very regulated on what they can do and say. Everything has to go past their compliance to make sure that they're not inappropriately misleading the public, whether it's intentional or unintentional. And I'd like to think that it's almost always, if not always, unintentional that they would do something like that. But compliance for the financial services industry has been very, very reluctant to embrace the whole social media aspect for their planners and the people who work with them. I know that there was a court challenge in the States about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and they earned the right to be able to put things on Twitter and things like that, as long as they made a point of notifying their followers first on their website on different things. So I think that we're seeing an evolution there as well. But back to your point about you don't just talk about your listings. People who are financial planners don't have to talk about the latest and greatest product that they're offering to their clients either. They can talk about how important it is to plan for the future, for your kids, for, when you want to buy a house, how to plan and save for it. So very, very good points there. Now, I did want to ask you as well, obviously you've got to write for your own business, but a big portion of your business is writing for other people. And tell us a little bit about how you engage with your clients and how you kind of get inside them, because obviously you have to learn a little bit about them, speak in their voice, represent them. So what does that look like for you?
Through my own blogs or through their
through your
my
clients.
Yeah, the voice is usually kind of how you can tell the difference between a professional or a new writer is, first of all, is opinions. Opinions seem to get into new writing, and also just consistent brand voice. So when you're writing for a client, usually I sit down with them first and kind of listen to them speak, just so I can understand how they talk. And I usually get some point form notes from them that I can work off of so that their voice is in each blog. And if you're writing consistently, it seems to flow. That's why I recommend you don't have big gaps, because even a person writing themselves will change their theme and their tone if they go months in between writing. And when your clients or their clients or customers are going to read their blogs, if they read a few in a row, you want it to flow so that it's a continuous story coming from that brand. I hope that answers your question, or is there something more specific?
Yeah. Well, I also, you know, when you were mentioning there about how there tends to be some gaps in things and the style, if people wait, you know, for a few months between blog posts, which brings up the point about how often should people be putting content out there? Should they be waiting a couple months? I'm a big proponent that you don't put something out just to put something out. You have to have something that's going to engage and enlighten your prospects, clients, and visitors. But at the same time, I think that if you wait 2 or 3 months, you can kind of lose any momentum, lose any interest. What's your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
I strongly recommend that one blog a month is the minimum you should ever put out, because a month that's 30 full days that people go without hearing about you. People can make very quick decisions on buying decisions and researching, and if they don't have you at top of mind, you might completely slip. So 1 month is usually just budgetary and definitely the minimum I recommend. Bi-weekly is kind of a nice, just a nice pattern to follow if you can. Weekly is ideal, and from there, you know, the more often you can, the better. Even if they're just small, couple paragraph articles about things in your neighborhood. But I usually, yeah, for sure, bi-weekly, and it's also for SEO, because Google wants to see your website changing. And that is sort of why blogs came to be, is because you don't want to just change your about page and your services page and just keep rewriting content so that it looks like your website's changing. So blogs sort of took that role of showing Google that you're trying to stay relevant. And so bi-weekly sort of helps you stay on top of your niche, and assuming you're doing other SEO things, that kind of is one of the core things. Especially then you can share those blogs on Facebook or Twitter, just start sharing your links around. So not only does blogging frequently help keep your customers happy, it helps keep Google happy. So it's really just about staying present and staying on trend and current.
And how many words would you recommend an article or a blog post be? I know that I checked a prospect's website. They claimed that they were doing 15 blogs a month minimum. And I looked, and they were like maybe 2 sentences that really didn't say anything. It was just like a headline and something. And I didn't find that it was particularly relevant to positioning them in their marketplace. But beyond that, I found if it was me going as a prospect, I would have been kind of disappointed in the quality of the content. So what do you think would be the ideal length for a blog post for most businesses?
Yeah, 500 words is kind of the lower end. So if you're going to be putting out, to go to a website and to click through and go to a blog looking for information and to have only 2 sentences there would probably be detrimental to that company, because they're not even giving value after that person has gone through. And it's kind of a generational thing, like where we don't have a lot of patience, we don't have a lot of time, and clicks are important. If you have to click through to something, you better have a payoff in the end. So if you're going to do a lot of blogs, scale it back a bit and do more words. So they should do 8 blogs instead of 15 and make them longer. 500 words. If you're doing one a week is okay. If you're going to do a month, I would recommend 1,000 to 2,000 words, so that when people are coming, it's a lot of relevant information, which you should be able to have because you had a whole month to write it. So.
Right. Now, you made a point a little bit earlier in our conversation about taking your blogs and posting links to them on Twitter and Facebook and things like that. So maybe we can just touch on repurposing your blog posts and what that looks like, and how sharing it socially can really enhance your online presence, your SEO. Maybe you could just touch on that.
Yeah, well, there's 2 kinds of repurposing blogs. One of them, and they're time-based. So when you have a blog on your website and you want to kind of share it around right away, you have to change it a little bit so that Google doesn't penalize you for having the same content on various places. For example, LinkedIn, um, if you change the content just enough, or you wait enough days so that the Google bots have had time to see it on your website, then you can post it as an article on LinkedIn. You can't do it very often, and you can't do it with very many of your blogs, because eventually it will come back around and see that it's a duplicate. Um, so if you're kind of trying to share your blog post right away, right after you post it, you're going to have to change that content or wait long enough. The other way to repurpose blogs is when you have a whole stack of them, you've been writing for years, you're running out of ideas, you can go back and reshare the same content because it could be fresh again. Obviously, depending if it's technology based, things change a lot in a short amount of time. So you go in and you update it and you just kind of remake it for possibly a different topic or just with fresher information. And you can reshare that, repost it. You can either go in and change the published date to a more recent one, or you can even just go and share the link again. So it's just sort of a way to remind people about past information that you've already written that's still really relevant and good, and that saves you a lot of time, and it'll help you.
Okay, and maybe what we can talk about too a little bit is about syndication. I know that over time, it's been suggested to me by various people that I've been involved with about getting involved in syndicating my blog articles, getting profiles on the top 10 sharing sites and things like that, and repurposing it. And obviously, as you point out, it is time consuming. You have to create all those profiles first of all, then you have to spin the text so that it isn't duplicate content. But it does have some value from an SEO purpose. What's your opinion or your experience, if any, in the syndication? Do you think that can bring value, does bring value? Or maybe
SEO, aside from content, the biggest part of that is backlinks. So getting other websites to link to your website. So when you go to post your article on those other forums and blogs, just kind of around, you usually slip in the URL to your site. So now that website links to your blog. And that's what Google sees as relevant. If other people like your stuff enough to put a URL towards it, it assumes that customers are going to like your website more, and it bumps it up organically. But like you said, it does take quite a bit of time to make all those profiles and to go find all the articles and comment. And you usually can't just kind of spam those forums with your stuff. You have to create communication and conversations with the people involved, and then kind of slide it in. Oh, this might be a good thing you want to check out. So you don't seem like you're the company. Kind of throwing it all out there because people feel sold to, they won't click on it. That is certainly more SEO. I have an SEO expert that I deal with. But sometimes I do write just the little snippets of content that they can use to put out onto those sites. But there's definitely experts that do that, and I'm not that person.
But you know who is. Yeah. And that's very, very true. When you start working on your business, especially online and creating these things, it does take a lot of effort. It does take a lot of time, as long as you're interested in a genuine relationship online. And obviously, if you're a realtor or a chiropractor or somebody like that, you can't be giving up 6 hours of your day to be doing blog posts and creating and interacting on a bunch of different forums, which is why it makes a good argument about outsourcing to marketing specialists, companies like me who can help with the strategy, and companies like you who can help develop the content and post on their behalf. So I think that makes a good argument for people taking a look at outsourcing. Now let's just get back quickly here to Google as well, and the duplicate content issue and things like that. And I know that our topic here isn't about SEO, but you can't really talk about social and content without touching on SEO at least. And I think that it bears mentioning that Google still is the number one search engine. And Google owns YouTube, which is the number two search engine, or vice versa. So it's very, very important that you don't anger the Google gods and get in their bad books by doing duplicate content. So if you are out there spamming those sites or dumping your blog posts everywhere, I think that people need to keep in mind that it's not an easy thing. If Google punishes you for duplicate content, that means that you are dropped from their rankings completely. And although you can get back in their good graces, it's quite an effort to do so. So, again, just to reiterate, consider, if you don't have the time to be doing all this yourself, consider bringing in an expert and outsourcing some assistance. It'll be well worth it.
Yeah, and that said, I know a lot of people that have got scammed through SEO, like pay us $1,000 to be on the front of Google, and it's not easy. It's expensive, but it doesn't just take a day like that. What they're doing is kind of black market sort of things. What they're doing works really quick, and then they get penalized, and you can get blacklisted really easy. And if you do it that way, it takes a very long time. Some people have had to start completely new websites because they just will never make it to the top again. So if you're going to invest in SEO, you got to do it the long way. You have to get your content rewritten. You have to focus on writing blogs. You have to hire an SEO expert that will go out and do that backlinking, but normally and casually and not spammed like. So just avoid the get to Google's first page for $1,000 things.
Well, the thing that people forget about with that too, Sarah, is not only are those people using the black hat techniques that could get them completely banned off Google, but as soon as you quit paying those people, even if they are successful in ramping you to the first page of Google, as soon as you quit paying them, you're back to page 54.
And that's the same thing with regular SEO. I mean, it is a continual. It's you have to maintain what they're doing. If you stop, you'll still stay on the first page for 2 or 3 months, but you will start sliding after that again. Not as quickly as if you go the back route. At least they did valuable work that will keep you sort of a little bit fresh. But SEO is maintenance, and it is a monthly retainer that people continually go in and keep your content fresh and keep your links going, and it's really valuable, and it can help your business and get you leads and grow your business. But it's one of those things that's just not a snap of the fingers. It takes a long time and a lot of effort.
Yeah, no magic bullet, no get rich quick scheme, just
Yeah.
like everything else in life, right? Everything worthwhile takes a little bit of work.
It does.
And if you don't have the time to do it, then
For sure.
hire it out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your business and what areas that you specialize? Do you specialize in any particular business vertical, or are you able to help people despite whatever industry that they're in?
Yeah, my clients, people ask me what my target is, and my target is business owners. And really, what we learn in my industry as a copywriter, the term is definitely jack of all trades. We have to know a little bit about a lot of things. And I have clients from law firms to insurance to pet stores to relationship blogs that I write. It's just a whole wide range of everything. And when you're working with a client, you really get to know them and their business. That's just the job. And you can write about anything. And again, like I said, with the broad options, for example, realtor, to be able to write about interior design and all that kind of thing, all those kind of things. You don't have to be an expert in every industry. You have to know enough, and you work with the experts. They give me key information that they need told, and I find a way to make it readable to the general public. Talking to a lawyer, deciphering it, and writing it in a way that most people can understand is kind of my job, being the middleman, the writer. I personally specialize in writing blogs. I just find that they are the most valuable. And that gives you content for social media, Facebook, Twitter, links like that. it all really works together in one big circle. You can't only blog and you can't only be on Facebook, and you have to kind of create a package for it to all work together really well. So I definitely write for any topic. Some are obviously more fun than others, but it's all important information to somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, well, thank you very much, Sarah, for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and your expertise with our audience. If people are looking to find you, can you tell us where they can find
My
you?
website is www.jumpingelephant.guru. I also have Instagram, which is at JE Social Media, and you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, and it's my job, so I'm everywhere.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, again, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your expertise, and we look forward to
Thanks,
continuing
you
to work
too.
with you, Sarah.
You too.
Have a great day.